welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. And today we're going to be calling some significant mulligans as we take a look at our roadway hierarchy and make sure that it makes sense. In the previous episode, I built a couple of roads that are breaking roadway hierarchy a bit. So we have this road right here that serves as the arterial into this new neighborhood, and then it tees into a private local road. That is unacceptable. That is not following roadway hierarchy. So let's go into what roadway hierarchy should be. You have your arterial, which carries most of your regional traffic, your collectors that collect your local trips onto one road and feed it onto those arterials, and then your local roads that basically serve as access to buildings in a local area. So we have most of that, but we are in some instances not doing it as well as we could. So we are going to change things up a little bit here. We also have a bit of a confusing situation in this area where I took a bit of this cargo rail terminal and severed it to create an arterial connection, arterial to arterial with a slip lane. That's no good. We're going to fix that. And we're going to put in a new bridge right here because something has to give. But before I get to that, I want to introduce you to my friend. This is Phillip. Scratch that. Phillip with 2 L's, which is how you know you can't trust him. Phillip's hobbies include sketching around campuses even though he isn't a student, moseying around the lifestyle center, going to amusement parks by himself, all so that he can steal people's passwords and personal information. So how do you protect yourself from creeps like Phillip? By getting NordVPN, which provides a fast and secure internet connection wherever you are in the world. NordVPN has over 5,500 super fast servers worldwide that can help you create a private, secure, safe browsing experience so that cyber snoops like Phillip will not be able to steal your personal info. But wait, there's more! NordVPN can also make the internet more fun, allowing you to access region-locked content by giving you the ability to change your internet location in seconds. Did you know that Big Bird is blue in the Netherlands and that trees are made of broccoli? I didn't either until I got NordVPN. If all of this sounds good to you, head to nordvpn.com/cityplanner for a great deal on NordVPN that includes a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/cityplanner. Okay, so there are a couple of things that are in the previous save for the game that I didn't mention in the previous episode because I did it before this one, and that is a whole bunch of naming. So I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who submitted names. The very first thing I want to rename is the city right here. So Flambeau said Nova Heights would be an excellent name for the community, and I completely agree. So we're going for it. There are a number of other things that have been named in here as well, though. Oh, look, it's Danny from the Discord provided a whole number of names related to fusion researchers. And on their suggestion, I've renamed a number of things such as the Francis William Aston Fusion Plant. And a number of the streets throughout the community are named after these researchers. So I really appreciate that feedback. Very, very helpful. Awesome. Next, Desi Generation suggested that we name this Modern Technology Institute the Lehman Institute for Fusion Technology, or LIFT, after Lehman Spitzer Jr., the inventor of the Stellarator. The Stellarator is a magnetic containment device used in fusion reactors. So thank you so much for that, Desi. We are going for it. Excellent naming suggestion. Next, we're going to be renaming the park in town after one of the channel patrons, Gwyneth's father, Tom Martin, who was a well-regarded landscape architect in the Nashville area, including for an MPO, which holds a special place in my heart, considering I used to work for an MPO as well. So we will be doing a few things to this later on in the episode. Very excited about this and happy to rename this park. And then finally, Cameron Hart provided a number of excellent suggestions of things that we're going to incorporate into the build. Things that we missed in the previous episode, different city services, and a couple of different things that are just missing. So thank you so much, Cameron. As a result of your suggestion, we have a major arterial with your name, Hart Boulevard. So thank you so much for that. Let's get started. The very first thing I want to do is figure out what we're doing with this roadway. It's wrong. So we're going to start not there. We're going to start way over here. This is wrong. We should never take a road that is an arterial like this meant to carry regional traffic and send it into a private development. I'm not sure what I was thinking there, but I have a solution. No, we're not doing that. That's the solution. So I saw it mentioned in the comments at one point that this road right here, which is currently Beach Street, could ideally be a road that provides a regional connection. Only one problem is right now it's acting as kind of a collector But I do generally like that idea. So we're going to take that idea and run with it. We're going to need to call a mulligan on these two cargo rail terminals and make some configuration changes. But we might hold off on that and see if it just functions with this admittedly poor setup, having an arterial with this local connection, this significant local connection. Let's turn on our terrain view. What we're going to do is try to figure out which one is our highest elevation. And I want to say if we come through, they're actually about the same, which is curious. We're going to try it here. Right mouse click up here, left click here. Yeah, the elevation is more or less the same. That is amazing. So the reason I care about this is we are going to apply for a Connecting Communities grant and win it. And with that, we will get the funding needed to completely redo these tracks and the interstate here so that we can have a connection going across. So this is going to be a trick because right now this is a nice smooth connection. I don't really want to destroy it, but going underneath is going to be much more viable than going above. I guess we could try to trench it too. I just don't really like that idea. Why don't we try that though? We'll see if we can go underneath in a clean way. It's probably the most logical solution. Yeah, I really dislike the way that turns out. So I think that we are going to do the most extreme version of this, which is to actually, instead of tunneling all this, we're going to do what I think is probably a more likely option, which would be that these would be bridged. So this is going to be kind of a tough build if we're being completely honest with ourselves, but we're going to go for it anyway. So first I'm going to take this, I want to find nodes that line up. We'll create some new nodes. And this is now gone. And that gives us our nice starting point. So what we're going to need to do here, we'll turn on our heights. We're going to need to drop down. So let's figure out exactly how far we need to go down. We're going to make that more gentle. Interestingly, you can see that we're not quite the same here. I might fix that. I might not. We'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll roll with that and see how that works. Top height up here with a right mouse click and then left to, oh, we got to turn up our height there. Our strength. We need strength right there. There we go. There we go. So there's one side down. Now we'll pick another top height up here and spread that out. Now I'm hoping that that is enough height to get me through here. So let's send this down. You see it's dropping down just a bit. And now here we're going to move it up. That looks pretty good. Maybe it's not perfect. And I think part of that is that we do have this going up just a little ways. So let's see if we can fix that. Now those are almost identical. All right, so from here, we want to make these connections. You can see that those are pretty darn good. Now I'm going to upgrade this road right off the bat underneath because it's going to be our limiting factor. And we'll see if the highway's not quite high enough here. So we're going to need to improve that, bump that up one notch. Wow, that is really ugly. Gonna try again. This is part of the process here. And I think we're gonna have to extend this bridge to make it look a little more natural. There we go. So this could always be a little bit better, but I would say that that is pretty okay. I'm pretty okay with that. So we're not going to let perfect be the enemy of good in this instance. I think that this is pretty good. Obviously, I think I'd love if this were a little bit more gentle. So this is 10 units. If I went 12, it would likely look a little bit better. I'm really trying my best not to go crazy. But I think you guys know me. This is hard. This is hard. Every fiber of my being wants to go crazy on it. All right, and here I'm just going to try to mirror those heights. That looks pretty bad. So we're going to do something a little different. So I think we're going to start bridging here sooner so we can go up less. And we'll have road length so we can go 12. We'll have one rise every 12. And now we'll see if we can clear this. We cannot, so we will just one rise again. Oh, that did not hit right. All right, we'll try 2, I guess, for this one. There we go. That's mostly smooth. Obviously, there are some terrain height. Ooh, actually, that's a roller coaster. That looks bad. It's funny. It's vanilla, so you try your best, and you think it's good, and then you end up with, when you're looking at it, it just looks crazy. I don't get it. And this is what I get for letting perfect be the enemy of good. And this is why you don't do it. It was fine. And I haven't made it any better, but I spent a lot of time on it. So I guess I've got that going for me. All right, we're gonna upgrade this and send this out towards this road right here. So let's go ahead, we'll look at our contours one more time. I guess we don't really need to. We'll send this down. Find our road guideline and curve right in. There we go. So that is a much better connection. We'll also make our connection here into Johnson Aggregates. We'll do that with a local road so it doesn't look crazy, and things are looking up. Things are looking way, way up. So I really like what's going on here, except for this little segment. I don't know what happened there. We're gonna fix that though. All right, so my main concern here, as we look at this right now, is that this is an arterial now turning into a local road or collector sort of situation. This is really kind of this is a local road. It's a lot of access, not meant for regional traffic, yet that's what we're doing with it. So if we were to improve this, what it would likely mean is backing these two away from this road, providing a frontage road, and that frontage road would load onto here, maybe even separating those, having a circulation pattern. For the time being, rather than getting into that level of detail, what we're going to do is just signalize this and see if that improves things. This would definitely warrant it. It's 2 arterial connections, so absolutely would need that. And we'll see if things get better or if they're still horribly broken. If they are, we will fix this. But we're going to roll the dice for the time being and see what happens. If it functions appropriately, because if we take a look at our traffic right now, very heavy. If it functions appropriately, we're going to leave it. All right, so next up, we have this bridge here. This is what I asked you guys about in the previous episode, and there are some folks that wanted this bridge to remain. We're going to preserve a bridge like this, but not this one. This bridge doesn't make sense here. The weight limits were the comment that were most frequently brought up, and I completely agree. This would not support the heavy freight traffic that this bridge would likely have on it. So we're going to remedy this now. And the way that we're going to do that is by taking Planner Pete's advice and using the American 2-lane truss bridge. Absolutely excellent advice. We still get the character of a unique bridge here without having something that's unreasonable. So this is really nice. The only thing that stinks about this is that the speed drops on here to 25 miles per hour. That said, I'll take it. I'll take it to have that aesthetic. Sims are patient. They will deal with that. The other thing, while we're over here, we should definitely add a signal or a stop sign at Johnson Aggregates. We don't want folks deciding that they can just whip right onto the highway. This is a very high-speed road. So there we go. Looking good. And over here now, are we backing up? It actually looks like it's handling traffic fairly well, which I'm impressed by. And we're going to shift our focus from this cargo terminal and go way over here because I really, really botched this one. I'm pretty disappointed in myself, truthfully. So what I did is I came through here. We got this arterial here, and I decided, we need another connection into here. And at one point, I just left Brook Street connecting straight through into Hart Boulevard. That was a really bad choice. So then I decided to sever that and have this weird connection here and a slip lane. And you know what? It functions. It really does. And it is terrible. We're gonna call a mulligan. We can't leave it like this. There's a couple of things I hate about this. First of all, if the train, for whatever reason, couldn't stop, it hits the bridge and potentially takes out people and endangers lives. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it has lights shining into these folks on the bridge. Not a good situation. Not my finest work. Something I am disappointed in. So we'll, as much as I love the slip lane, because I think that's the only slip lane in Verde Beach, we're gonna take it away. We'll also do this. Now you might wonder, How are people getting over there? Oh, they're not. In fact, people aren't going to get over here. We're going to change this up entirely. And we are going to have a roundabout. I think it's going to be a good solution for this. We're going to have to change this bridge, relocate it. Not the height of realism there, but it's going to make me really happy. So hopefully it makes you happy as well. We're going to start out. Let's come through here and just right there. There we go. Increase our heights. And then I love to draw these with dirt roads. We'll go up, let's say 160. 160, 160. And 160, and then we'll come over here. I don't think that we got our heights high enough. We're also going to need to extend this out, so let's just do that right off the bat and let the water normalize while we're figuring out our roundabout. Come in and use our freeform tool and just bang, 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 bang. And now we should be able to fairly simply come through. Let's slope our terrains. We'll come through, right mouse click at the top, left at the bottom, and slope right up. Now we can bring this in, come in at a 90, and then for our bridge, this is painful for me because I really like this bridge. I think that we did a pretty good job here. That said, we didn't do a good job with one thing, and that is putting it in an appropriate location. So we're gonna have to, oh, that's what I get for not pausing. So we are gonna pause it just to be able to build the bridge. Okay, I'm going to stop here for just a moment because I want to make sure that our key wall extends down. It's going to be really important. I mean, okay, maybe not really important. Maybe it just makes me feel good about what I'm doing. But sometimes that's all you need. So we're going to do it. And now we'll try to get across this. Going to freeform across. There we go. Actually, that is pretty nice. Can I curve road tool into that? Because then we can have a great connection. I can. That is pretty. That is really pretty. It's pretty as a dirt road. I'm not sure if it's going to be pretty as a highway, but we'll find out. Here, let's go ahead and we'll slope. Start there. Slope up. We got to slow this down. I'm at the point now where I've been playing this for so long that if I have it on 3 times speed, everything just kind of breaks down if I'm terraforming. So we've got to be very careful there. All right, that looks pretty darn good. I'm into it. I am way into it. All right, so now I'm going to send this power line right down the bridge. We'll clean this up. Again, the height of realism, cleaning up power lines. I could care less. I don't think that the power company is going to come back and say, you know what, you moved the road, you fired your engineer, but it's okay because now we're going to clean up the power lines and we'll give you that visual continuity that everyone loves so much. If there's anything that I've seen, it's that power companies are in the business of saving money. Looking spiffy, looking really good. Upgraded, no problem there. Here, we'll come through, upgrade there. And I think we're going to downgrade this. We don't need that extra lane. That's a little much. We have an extra lane here as well. I don't know why I put that there. We can take that away. Now things feel a little bit more logical. And as much as I hate using a highway around here, we need a 3-lane road to have enough lanes to get the game to think about this appropriately. We need to have that extra lane so that someone could stay inside of the roundabout without being in a lane where you're forced to make a turn. So I'm curious about that though. Is anyone going to use this inside lane or does it not matter? It looks like almost nobody's using it. So what if I come through here? I'm going to say good enough. Wow, that guy's going fast. He got wow, just on a mission, So whatever works for you, buddy. All right, so now I feel like this is in a better place. I see a signal there though, and that is not warranted anymore. We need a stop sign there. Now this makes a ton more sense logically. Hierarchy makes a ton more sense in here. Really, we're taking this highway connection and extending it out this way, which to me makes a ton more sense. The highway being an arterial as well. This is Keller House, I believe. It's not, it's Robert Morgan, but it's actually Keller House. I feel like I've renamed this a couple of times. There we go, Keller House. And Keller House around the roundabout as well. And we lost the name here. Hart Boulevard, we'll extend that down as well, right into our roundabout. And I am curious, we look at our routes now. Wow, look at that. Let's look at our bridge. You can see just how much traffic this is carrying. It's very impressive, very impressive. Right here, what are we looking at? Wow. All that traffic going to the power plant right out here. That is impressive. And no backups. I can't believe that I can have all of this loading onto this road without any problems. Look at our traffic flow. Things are just fine. Just fine. This is still broken, even though it's funny, that little bit of a shortcut, and they all go for it. It's a shame. it's not good. All right, well, we're good there, and I'm gonna take this as a W, and we're gonna keep moving on. So the next thing that we need to do is think about some of the city services in this area that we missed, and there were a number of them, and I regret not putting most of those in. So let's start out, and we'll think about the most important one: fire service. So here's where I went wrong. I went wrong in two different places. So first of all, we have a firehouse here. That's great. Back here, we have a helicopter depot. That's awesome too. We don't actually have a fire station back here. We have a power plant. This power plant serves the entire city with power. If any fire goes off here, we absolutely need to be able to put it out immediately. Otherwise, the whole city dies. So we're gonna put this sucker right here because we need to cover that. But the other thing to look at is we have that helicopter depot, but we have no watchtower. So we could have a forest fire. We're not gonna be able to do anything about it. Wow, and look at all these areas that have absolutely no coverage. All right, we've got to solve this. I've been noticing an uptick in fires, and you guys have too. This is my bad. But it's also what I do, so, we'll put this up here on the high point. This is the high point, or it's close to the high point. And I think it'll be an interesting place we'll say it's dual purpose, even though it's not. And then over here, look at this. We're gonna place one just off Intestine Way. I'm sure everyone loves to live next to that, even if it protects their home. They're all thrilled. And then over here inside of Johnson Aggregates, they're absolutely looking for this to go in. We're gonna put this right on the side here. And then I want to see if there are other locations close by that could be better served with these. It looks like what is this? This is the waste processing complex. It already had a fire there, so obviously it's having problems. We'll place this right there. And if we're gonna have that, we should probably have a path going there as well. The other ones at least were somewhat close. All right, I'm feeling a little bit better about our fire protection. Obviously, there are always places where we could use more, maybe right here. I think we're probably okay. Actually, right in here in our new area, let's add one back here. And truthfully, we could use some city services back here as well. We're gonna add a firehouse. As much as I hate adding all of these, it is gonna help things level up a little bit. It feels like we're doing a lot though right now. We're spending a lot of money and it looks like we're not doing great financially. Obviously, we just fixed things, so it just looks bad. It's not actually bad. Okay, and then the next thing that we didn't do anything about is trash collection. So this is going to be something that I think we need to focus on. We have a lot of processing, so we don't need processing necessarily, but we do need to have a waste transfer facility. So what we're going to do is we already have this area over here with a bunch of industrial uses and a really robust transportation network. We can add that here along this arterial and really spread some of those benefits out. So we're going to find a level pad and add this in there. We're going to try to tuck it back so it's not the thing you see when you're going down Keller House. So I'm going to actually extend this road right here. And the beauty of this location is it's not controversial in the slightest. I'm going to put two here. The main reason is we have such a great transportation network in this area. They're able to hop on the highway, hop on this local highway, whatever the case may be, to serve this area. And when we take a look at what's happening here, what I think we're going to see right off the bat is, well, maybe not yet, but we're going to see a lot of activity from this area, but it's going to function just fine. And not a lot right now, but I think it's going to be absolutely necessary. So we've got trash, we've got fire, we are missing some of our healthcare services. So we've added a bunch of things. We've added, if you look over here, we've got our sports hall and gymnasium, our community pool, and we've got a small clinic, but we are certainly missing one of the most important things if you want to ensure that your citizens live a long time and have a lot of kids, and you can really boost up your population in that way. child health care and death care and elder care. So over here, you don't have child health centers or any elder care facilities, and that was a big miss in my opinion. So we are going to add those over here, but we're going to do one other thing. I'm kind of regretful of what we did over here. We closed this off too soon. The reason I even wanted to fence this in is if we take a look right here, we've got this sound pollution that's going to be a problem. So let's go ahead and put this fence in and be cognizant of the sound pollution issues that we're going to have, but let's not let it dictate all of our decision making. We can bring this back further. There we go. That's not perfect. There's a little bit of areas with some sound pollution, but I think it's much better. We're going to run this roadway network up here, continue this out. We still have a lot of residential demand, and we can add in some of our city services up here. The nice thing is with the grid that we've already established, ooh, not that road. Everyone was upset as soon as I put that in there. Like, how dare you put that in? It'll be fairly simple just to extend this up here. Run these roads up here, and then eyeball appropriate distances. So I'm going to look at the contours, and we'll start here. We're not going to make that connection there or here, understanding that these would be roads leading in. In fact, we very well may want to block anything from developing along here anyway, and have some trees to shield from this. Same thing back here. I think that's going to be the most appropriate way to handle that. And we will add some blocks back here, make them a little irregular, keep it interesting, and we'll end in some cul-de-sacs back here. There's nothing wrong with that. In certain locations, as long as they're not long, as long as they're not severing connectivity for the sake of it. Here in this instance, I think it's fine. We're backing up to a fence, to a location where you wouldn't be able to get to. Extend this back a little ways, and then we'll have some pedestrian connections back here so that someone could walk to their friend's house. And it stinks that we can't have homes at the end of the cul-de-sac in a vanilla game, but let's make up for it by having those kind of loopy things going on there. And then over here, let's absolutely fence this off to prevent development from occurring along this road, along Electric Avenue. We'll do the same thing over here at Aston Street. There you go. So at this point, I want to think about some of those city services, those health services that we don't have, and we're going to add those in. So we're not using eminent domain for these. It's not the best location to have our elder care facility, but they rarely are. I feel like in many cases, these are kind of placed in areas where they could be loud uses, elder care in particular. If you think about it, with elderly folks living in a place like that, you're going to have more sirens for ambulances. In some cases, I was a certified nursing assistant when I was 16 through 18. You'll have residents escape from memory care units, for instance. So you'll have to lock down, and then the police can come. It's all sorts of bad things can happen with these. So they can be controversial uses to be next to. So they end up in undesirable locations, or they end up in a desirable location and nothing else desirable locates around it. They end up in kind of like their own little thing. So in some cases, I've seen these things in commercial areas, kind of a weird office parks, just like really strange uses. In my hometown, it was actually next to the wastewater plant, which was just a bizarre place for it. But there were benefits. You have the river right there, so I guess you have that going for you. Anyway, that is a sidetracked conversation, and what we're gonna do is plan for some neighborhood serving commercial uses. This is something that I think is always important to add in. So we'll just have a few of those along this street right here at the base of the hill. We're not gonna put anything right here as the transitioning up, and then we're gonna keep it pretty dense through here. And then we'll add some water pipes right underneath our roads, right where they belong. Okay, so very unfortunate water system. These are spaced in such a way that we need a whole bunch of redundancy, which stinks. I don't love that, but it's what we have to deal with. So I do want to go through here and add in a bunch of trees for a couple of purposes. First of all, we take a look at the sound. We have a little bit of an issue here, but I think we can mask most of that with trees and landscaping. Same thing here. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've gone through here, and what I really wanted to do was ensure that it felt like there was some separation through a forest from the power plant. Obviously, it's going to loom overhead, but that's okay. That is the neighborhood here. So the other thing that I think that it's kind of a missed opportunity is this is a really green source of power. We haven't really taken advantage of that in any significant way. So before this fills in, I think I'm going to carve out just a portion of this. We'll try to give this a fancy sounding name, Nova Heights Estates. And then we will come through and make these self-sufficient buildings, and we will also have organic and local produce. So that covers everything happening here. Unfortunately, we lose all of our development. That is the price of progress. You lose your home. Eminent domain. Sorry. All right, there we go. Everything is going away, but we're going to get these beautiful homes. We also don't have any parks through here. I do want to take a look at the land values, and you can see that we're going to need to do something. We could have made this a park, and that's something I thought about. I just don't know how close we want people to get to this. This is kind of a buffer. If there were a problem and someone were trying to charge at the plant, you figured there'd be enough time to prevent that person from getting there. That said, everyone's favorite does need to be in here, and we all know what that is, a dog park. I'm gonna add that right here. And in this larger area, I'm wondering, could I fit no, I didn't leave enough space. So if I would have planned ahead, I could have fit, ooh. You know what? We're gonna go for it. We'll have one larger park in there. We'll break the grid up and have this, and we'll send this right back. And if you want to use that street right there, you can be a pedestrian. Let's make sure that our roadway names are extending through. There we go. And now this will develop into an absolutely wonderful place. We've got one more thing we need to do, and that was take the modern botanical gardens and make them a botanical gardens. The way that we're going to do that is try to work a botanical garden into this area. It's going to be a challenge, and I think that we're going to need to take our dog park and use a little bit of eminent domain and just scooch this thing over a little ways. We'll get rid of everything happening here. And you see this doesn't exactly fit, which I am deeply regretful of. We're going to take Spitzer Street, delete that, and add this in. So the height of realism, all of this deleting. And then we will scoot this over one tile so that we can have a pedestrian connection through here and take out that house. Absolutely wonderful. This is how you do it if you could go back in time and fix things. And we can do that. This is City Skylines. Powers. So we're going to take them. Although, truth be told, if there were a group, this botanical garden, we'll make this Martin City Park, and then this is the Martin Botanical Garden. So they're related but separate. This would likely have donations that would fund it, so I think it makes sense that this would be something that could potentially use some eminent domain, get the goodwill of the city to vacate this right away and make this happen. So the moving of the dog park may be a little less okay, but we're going to go with it. All right, I'm going to let this go for just a minute, and we're going to see how this develops out. Okay, and this area is filled in pretty well at this point, and I think this would be a really special place to live. I understand you're underneath the shadow of the fusion power plant, but you're surrounded by trees, so it kind of feels like you're in a forest bowl. You're separated from the rest of the city by this little tree buffer, and you have this self-sufficient housing. So I think that makes it an interesting place, and I imagine this would be sought after. Now, I'm curious how our property values bear this out. If we take a look, yeah, we see that the good is heading up this way. This is obviously, if we take a look, not as valuable. 51 though is not terrible. Down here, 54. So the difference isn't as large as you might imagine. So very, very good. There are really just two more things that I want to focus on. And the first one is our disaster services. So again, we focused on fire. We made sure, and I want to make sure now that I've added all of these, all of these trees in, that we're covered. We're good. We're goodish. We're fine. We have other disasters that could happen here though. So we are going to have a radio mast out here. You can see that our coverage is not great out here as is. I'm gonna go with something smaller. I don't want this to be insane and completely dominate the landscape. We'll sneak it in back here, and that will provide good coverage to most of this community. We should also have a large shelter. We haven't had a shelter built in a long time, so I think that we could certainly sneak one in back here by this plant, and if there's a disaster, they open up the gates, everyone can come in, and no one is worried. So we're going to put that right here, right on the side. And it's tucked right in there. So this will be very helpful if there's ever a disaster. And what else? When we take a look at these, we could see that there are a few other. An earthquake sensor would certainly be helpful up here. So we will add one of those as well. And again, I think we're going to keep a lot of these by this campus, because this is really what we're concerned about, is ensuring that the campus stays in a good place. And even a disaster response unit could be helpful out here. It's just really large, and I don't know that I really want to have that kind of presence. That said, this would be a nice office complex to kind of offset that. Let's just see how it looks. So that's approximately in the center. Yeah, it looks really out of place there. We'd have to work this in its own way. So we will take a refund, lose a bunch of money, and deal with that. With that, there's one more thing. So I think that we'll be good with disasters. I want to get some transit in here. And I know that that's something that has been mentioned a number of times in the comments. Why haven't you been adding transit to these? The main reason is generally these would be added over time. It's just not something that you flip a light switch and you get transit. I think that these businesses would need to request it. We've got some at Johnson Aggregates, and I think that we're going to do something similar over here where it's not the greatest service in the world, but it does the trick. So here we've got a bus station over here in Myrtle Park. We're going to create a new line, use our highway. We'll create two lines, one that serves this little business park. So we'll come through here. We're going to use the local roads behind it. We'll have some fairly frequent stops so that people could reach their destinations. And we're going to have a one-way loop there. So I could have mirrored all the stops. Ideally, I think that's what you do, but this is really a commuter service that's getting people from point A to point B, getting them from wherever they got to the bus station from and getting them to their destination. So bi-directional service is probably not quite as important. It's also just a simple loop in this area. So we're going to have one more service. We'll create a, whoops, I did not want to do that. I don't know what I added a stop to. Right there. We have two stops at the bus station. We don't want that. All right. The next one is going to come right through here. Very simple route. This will circulate around the community. Again, we're not going to have bi-directional, but there's not a lot of density here. So this is really a coverage route. And I would look for them to say, if it's warranted in the future that we can add extra service, we'll absolutely do it. They're going to probably say, well, we've got to get to the high school, because what about the high school kids? So we'll get behind the high school so that kids could walk through. We'll come back around and then come down the main drag. Make a couple of stops there. One more here so folks could get back into town, and then we are right back completing our line. All right, so I wanted to look at this. We've got two new routes. And here we just have some regular buses. I think we'll wait for those. Let's also go through these, and I'm overdoing it on some of these. So we look at the number of passengers. We have bendy buses when there's 39 passengers. That's a little much. Let's take some of these down and use some regular buses on these to hopefully save a little bit of money. Anything that has less than 100 passengers, I think we're going to use that as our threshold to use regular buses. And I want to see if we have any pass-ups here. We don't, and we don't have very many people on these buses. So again, we'll just use a regular bus here. I don't know what's going to happen with our new routes. They are they might be absolutely excellent and serve a number of people. That's not my guess. My guess is it serves some people. It's very important for the people who do utilize it, but for everyone else, they kind of wonder, why are we paying for this? And that happens sometimes. Not the end of the world. And with that, I do think that we just need to look through here, make sure that our signals are right, because they're not. Got a whole bunch of signalized junctions here. And then we can zoom into Hart Boulevard and have a brief city tour. And as we take a look at what we've done at night, it feels a lot more logical. It feels like we've made some really good roadway connections, built a nice little neighborhood, and really worked on completing this. I think that's one thing that can be a real challenge, is it can be easy to want to move on to the next project. I've got a couple of projects that have just been punted forever. And this is going to be another one where it's partially done right now. I'm going to try my best. Planner Duck gave some excellent ideas on how to develop this, and I absolutely want to do that. And there's areas right here that you just think, based on the location, would be just absolutely ripe for development. We also need to get this to level 5. And of course, way over here, a lot that has to happen over here. And we still have Maggie's home base. Got a lot to do, And I'm super excited to get there. So thank you for sticking with me as I build in a kind of scattered way, but that's the way development happens. It doesn't always happen when you want it to happen. Sometimes you get things happening when it's good for the developer, and that's where we're at right now. So I think we're gonna leave it here. Hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. If you are not subscribed, please consider doing so, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.